In the gym and in the car, with our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes, and talk about our sexy dates. We host events and go to clubs, but most of all we're still in love. It's getting hard for this to rhyme, just as well 'cause it's bed hopping time. Hello there, and welcome to the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name's Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
Thank you for joining us today. This is episode something Dark Side.
Oh,
right.
we finished each other's sentences.
Sausages. Oh, that's awkward. That's awkward. Thanks for joining us again today. We are today talking about our spicy island adventure.
We are, but I thought you'd invited me onto the show to talk about my rising TikTok fame.
Well, we'll come to that in a minute.
I'm a TikTok star now.
You're a TikTok star. Absolutely. Well, let's first, before we get into that, we've got a bit of promotion to do because we like promoting stuff. Always be promoting. The first thing that I want to mention is our Neon Dreams Night.
Excellent.
When's it happening, wife?
It's happening on the 16th and the 17th of August.
Excellent. Well remembered.
At Vanilla Alternative.
Exactly. Now, I believe we have sold out of hotel rooms for this particular event. And there are no rooms on site. Not for this particular one, right?
No.
So if you want to come along for the evening part of it, for the fun, takeover, sexy swinger party.
Which is the Saturday.
Which is the
17th.
Nicely remembered. Nicely done.
Is this a test?
Yeah, it is definitely a test because I can't remember them at all. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, Diary Queen.
Yes,
right.
Diary Queen. Not to be confused with the Dairy Queen, which is something incredibly different.
Utterly wonderful.
I see what you did there. Didn't do things by calf. Anyways, moving swiftly along. You thinking of another one?
Don't have a cow.
You're just following the herd on this one.
Oh, no, stop. Otherwise we'll just get into some kind of fucking turf war. That wasn't a pun.
Oh, you'll give me the horn after that. Anyways, come along to this event. We think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. We did release a few extra hotel rooms quite recently. There may be one or two more that crop up as we get a bit closer, but we'll see. But
they
the
sold
link.
out really quickly
They
as well.
did sell out absolutely quickly because we're doing a whole host of little classes, some experiences during the day. Mingles, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I'll be there.
You'll be there.
TikTok
I'll be there.
star,
We'll be neoning it up. TikTok. We'll come on to this in a second.
Excellent.
But if you'd like to come along to the event, get in touch with us. Click on the link that's on the show notes and we'll get you there, right? Well, obviously you have to pay for your tickets.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. Actually, I'm really excited about this one because this is it's a venue that we haven't been to for absolutely ages. For the people that are staying in the hotel, there's all sorts of wonderful, exciting activities going on. But a neon party, neon's pretty funky.
I feel like it's going to be a bit of for me, it's going to be a bit of an 80s vibe.
It's an 80s vibe.
I'm feeling like Electric Dreams kind of vibe, like the 80s and neon. And it's taking me back to when I used to dress in like questionable. Everything was neon on the 80s for some reason. Leg warmers. Jumpsuits.
Okay, I'm going to dust off my old Optimus Prime outfit then if it's all 80s.
No, it's not a Transformers party.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's not fancy dress.
There's no robots in disguise.
Oh, no. But I feel like it's going to be super fun theme, and for once it might be quite easy to buy an outfit for. Okay,
cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Come along, click on the links. Also, don't forget that we've got a social going on October the 12th as well.
You remember the date?
I know, remember that one.
Wow.
I've got to remember one or two things, right?
Yeah,
but
and that's nearly sold out.
That's nearly sold out. So the tickets, there are some tickets available, but we'll put the link on the show notes. You can click that and get your tickets for that. In fact, actually, no, we won't put the link on the show notes because we're not offering the link. You've got to message us and then we send you the link. And secret squirrel. And the reason that we do that is so that we're better able to control the ratio of single guys, single gals, or ladies and couples that are coming along. Yeah. So message us. I'll put a link to our email address or Twitter or whatever, or X, and you can say hello and we'll send you the details and send you the information.
These are going to be the most extensive show notes in history.
Extensive.
Link.
Not the expensive, extensive.
Extensive.
Oh, okay. I said expensive. I was like, why are people paying for the link?
I don't know, you're expensive.
Maybe. And that's probably something that we'll talk about in a minute. But
how expensive you are.
How expensive we have been over the last couple of weeks. But before we get into that, we went to Croatia for the Spicy Island takeover.
We did.
And as we were sort of getting ready, because we spent a couple of days, the delightful Kate from Wanderlust Swingers, just chilling out, getting used to Croatia.
In Croatia.
And she ferried us around like an absolute ledge.
It was amazing.
It was wonderful. It was nice and chill. We had some drinks. We had some nice food. We had some nice places to stay.
We had some drinks. We had some drinks.
When I say we had some drinks, at that time, the quantity of drinks was tolerable and it was absolutely fine. But it may have escalated with every passing minute. However, the bit I was going to mention was, while we were doing all of this, one of the things that you committed to doing, as you've mentioned at least 8 times already, was becoming a TikTok superstar.
No, I didn't actually say I was going to be a TikTok superstar.
Really?
What I said was, if you remember, Mr. H, is you moaned extensively about the fact that you do everything, and I actually agreed, you do. And you do all of the social media, and you do all of the stuff, and you do all of the podcasts, and like me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do a TikTok. I'm going to bloody well do a TikTok, and I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to do it just to prove I can do something on social media.
Yeah. So you've posted, I don't know, about 9 posts by now?
Some.
So the commitment to do one every day has long since disappeared.
Mostly.
Mostly.
I think I might have missed 2 days because I came back from Croatia a little bit tired.
Yeah, I think so.
And I had to do some immediate work on regenerating my liver. I need to divert all my focus to that.
That recovering sleep, being able to remember what our day jobs are, and just living after the excitement and the heavy drinking and late nights of the last week. So let's talk a bit. I mean,
about
the TikTok. It's a fun little space that you can go to. And normally it's you doing it, right? There have been glimpses of other people.
It's mainly me because I think I want to take this off you and you not have to do another social media platform.
Despite the fact that I've already posted to it.
Yeah, but you did that by accident, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I did that on purpose.
Did you do that for? It's my thing.
Yeah, but if I'd have sent it to you, it would have taken like 6 days to
my
go live.
I feel really attacked.
Do you?
However, it's going to be mainly me.
Yes.
Waffling on about nonsense because that's all I seem capable of. But occasionally I might do something useful. You never know.
Well, there we go.
I'm learning it.
You're learning it.
I'm going to teach myself some social media.
I know. And about 4 of the videos, I can't actually hear you. And I've had to use the subtitles function.
I'm learning.
I think that does there need to be an approvals process? Like you send it to me and I go thumbs up or thumbs down?
No, because then it's not mine, it's yours.
No, then it's just me verifying it for you.
I shall learn.
And providing handy hints and tips.
But then you'll take over because your mad content creation skills will be itching to just get involved and improve it in some way. And I've got to learn this myself.
But I can teach you. I can teach you my ways. Much to learn you have.
Why do we fall, Master Bruce? So we can pick ourselves up again.
All right.
I've got to learn it myself.
Keep falling. I'll start pushing you over as well.
You do it anyway.
Not really. I wouldn't push you over.
Have a look at my shit talk. It's brilliant.
Have a look. Go and see what it's like. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
So we went to, on the Friday before we went out to Croatia, right? We went to karaoke night.
Because we're mad.
And we were like, well, we're not going to drink that much, but we know we're going to drink a bit because it's karaoke.
At what point did you ever think that was ever going to be a reality, that we weren't going to drink much at a karaoke night with 30 people?
I don't know. It felt
Deluded.
like I know, and we had secret vixen staying with us as well, and it was never going to be an early night. It was always going to be
descent into madness, and you know it.
I know. We're going to have to talk about this bit another time, I think. There's a couple of bits that we're going to pick up.
We'll talk about that separately.
We'll talk about this one on a different podcast. But just setting the scene. So we had a late night then. Then we caught a plane to Amsterdam the next day on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And our plane was delayed, which meant that we nearly didn't make our transfer.
Oh, God, that was so bloody stressful.
And this is all just context setting. I'm sure this is stuff that you can fast forward past if you really want, or listen to at double speed. Not that I'd endorse such a thing. It does irk me. It upsets me. Anyways, so we basically had to run through the airport to get our connecting flight to Croatia. And bless, Kate was waiting for us, and we were literally the last people on the plane. Yeah. They were about to delay the plane. And so we got on, and she provided us immediately with drinks, cheeses, snacks, gluten-free stuff.
Yeah, me when I got on the plane.
And at that point, we just basically started drinking, right?
Oh my God, yes. Why? But yes, we did. We basically started drinking on the plane, and I don't think we stopped until we got off the other plane at the other end of our holiday. And that was at 8 a.m. in the morning.
I think that's fair to say that we continued to drink when we got off. And then that really, just carried on throughout the course of the week.
Set a tone.
I think it did set a tone. It was absolutely fun because we had a couple of days chilling out before we went over to the Spicy Island.
We went to a vineyard.
It was absolutely fantastic. We stayed in a couple of different places. We saw some scenery. It was really lovely.
Croatia is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning.
And the weather was just glorious.
Perfect.
Glorious. So to sort of get into the groove of the whole Spicy Island thing, a couple of things happened, right? So Kate had set up a WhatsApp group for the people that were coming along with us, but also some other English-speaking people and people that she'd reached out to. So we had about 30 people in this chat group. I don't think we even met everybody. Not everyone came along to say hello. But on the night before that we set sail on our speedboat across, we caught up with about 15, 16 of those people.
Yeah, we went out for dinner in Croatia.
And in Croatia.
Well, near the port where we were getting the boat the next day.
Yeah. And that was really helpful because we not only started talking to people on WhatsApp and starting to interact with them, and some of these people we had met through our events before, but quite a lot of them we hadn't really met at all.
Before.
But it was really nice just to have a little bit of a meal, a little bit of a chill out time. Again, more wine, because why not? When in Rome, Croatian Rome, have a few drinks and actually get to know them a little bit better so that when we went to the island, we weren't totally on our own.
Correct.
And that was I really enjoyed that little experience. Lovely. It was really good. Although I was sort of in the middle of the table. So I did feel I was like, oh, do I talk to these people here? Do I talk to those people? So I was constantly listening to two conversations at once because I'm a bit I do my very best. But it was nice. It was nice being able to chat to people and get to know them better and have a good conversation. So I really enjoyed that and I really valued that opportunity.
Was everyone on that group, some of them were like returning people, weren't they? They'd been the year before and some were brand new to it.
Some were absolutely brand new.
Like us.
Some were competition winners. Some had just come along. But, it was it was a really good mix of experienced and inexperienced people and also people that were new in their lifestyle journey and people that had been around the block a little bit.
Being around the block.
Being around the block just a little bit. So when it came to the next day, I think there was a massive thunderstorm that night, but I could be right.
There was,
which is kind of crazy.
It was the night where I saw all the cats and I was worried about all the cats outside the street.
But they were all fine. Even though you named them all.
I named all of them. There was Lola and there was Keith and there was Rufus and I think maybe Matthew.
Okay.
I named all of them.
This is more information than people will ever need to know.
Unlikely.
But anyways, so when you go to Spicy Island, you have the choice of going on the boat, the slow boat, and the speedboat. And we chose the speedboat because we felt it would, A, get us there quickly, it would get us over to the island and give us a chance to settle in and settle down.
I just want to feel like I was in a James Bond adventure.
Well, that's fair. Or you can go on the slow boat, which is often called the party boat.
How long is that? About an hour? No, a bit less than that.
I think it's about an hour because it's about 25 minutes or so on the speedboat. And must be about an hour if you're going along on the other one.
But the party boat looked fun, to be fair.
The party boat, well, so we'd heard in previous years gone by from people that have been there a few times that the party boat is absolutely jam-packed with people partying. They're having tequila shots, they're doing body shots.
Like there's legendary party.
Yeah, they sort of lead you in and get you all started and pumped. And we sped by that thing because it took off before we took off, set sail before we did. And as we looked around and went past the boat, there were only one or two people partying and everyone else just looked a bit like, oh, it's a boat, isn't it?
To be fair, it was the one overcast day.
Yeah, it was a bit overcast.
And it wasn't particularly warm. I remember turning up at the island looking like a drowned rat because of the wake. And then there was a little bit of light rain here and there. So I looked a bit drenched.
Yeah. So as we pulled up to the sort of island, it was really cool in that we got a massive greeting from lots of half-naked people, lots of people really excited, lots of flags. And it really, the check-in process there was really, really simple. They took your details, they took your information.
They had a goodie bag waiting for us.
Yeah, it was really cool. And everyone was saying hello. It felt like we were legends stepping onto this magical island. It was well organised and it was a well-oiled machine. Yeah. And we got our stuff and then you have to charge your wristband.
Yeah. So it's cashless on the island.
It's cashless. So you can either use your card and you can do a transaction every time, or you can charge your wristband and then you just wear your wristband around and all you got to do is tap it.
Yeah.
So we put a few £100 on our respective wristbands, and we'll tell you about the cost of what we spent in a bit. But it was useful having it on there because then you can go swimming, you can wear them in the pool, you can do whatever. You don't have to worry about carrying your cards or your phone or whatever around, and you can just enjoy the moment, which I really like that idea.
Yeah.
What I will say, my top tip, so if you do go and if you've got more, they'll charge you like €25 to remove the credit. So if you spend less, when you leave. So ultimately you need to spend all of that cash. What I'd say is only put on as much as you're prepared to spend and then just treat the rest of it as like a write-off, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the sensible way to do it. And then we made our way across. I mean, we trekked for a good 15 minutes.
I was not prepared for how much of a trek that was.
You're
now
never
I
prepared for that.
Now I understand why they recommend that you don't take big hard cases with wheels or something. You don't have to carry your luggage across there.
No, they do bust that over.
Bust that over for you. But if you're carrying loads of stuff and there's some really obnoxiously high steps on the way, and it's all like hilly, so you're going up really, really big rocky steps, and then you get to the reception bit, and then you've got some more trekking to do.
Depending on where you're going, of course, because there's a variety of different accommodations. Now, we were staying in the XL Lodge, which is like a lodge for 2 couples. Yeah. And it has like a shared living area and a bedroom and a bathroom each. 2 bathrooms. Very, very useful.
I was so happy. And air conditioning. And
there is a variety of different accommodation on the site. There's various tents. There's smaller lodges. There's bigger tents. So definitely check
glamping type
stuff.
There's a bell tent and there's a forest lodge. So there's different accommodations. Yeah.
And depending what sort of accommodation you have will depend on where you're staying on the actual island. Now we're pretty close to the pool and the food area, most importantly. But other people were all the way down different parts of the island. What's really good though is throughout the course of the week they do rotate where the parties are at every single night. So you're never. Someone will always have to walk somewhere, depending on where you are. So it's not just geared towards the people that are in the nice luxury places. Everyone gets a chance at going to their venue or a venue near them without having to walk too far, which I really like.
There's signposts around the island as well, which are really helpful because they'll point you I would get horribly lost anyway because it's
they weren't like normal signposts and that they point you towards the places that you want to go?
No, but I get really lost. But I found it really helpful to have little signs like South Beach, for example, or the reception or toilets. It was really handy to have that.
Yeah. So as we made our way to our little lodge, there's a shop on the island that sells a few sort of toiletries and that sort of stuff and the bare minimum basics, which is crisps, which is really helpful. There was a pizza bar along the way. And as we got to our lodge...
And a restaurant
along the way as well, you're right, and a bar. And we had a look at our accommodation. And actually, I was really pleasantly surprised about the accommodation. It was really nice.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. I was like, it's a lodge in the middle of a island. It looks like it might be made of wood from the outside. Okay. But actually inside it felt very modern. So we had a kettle, not that we ever need to use it, a little fridge. Which we did use. And there was like a bedroom for us and a bedroom for Kate.
Because Kate were exactly the same.
Both exactly the same. We had a hairdryer in our bathroom. There was a little shower there, all running water. So actually it was really, really pleasant. Little sofa in there, little table.
The shower's great.
And it had, I think, pretty much everything you could need for the course of the 4 or 5 days that you were there. I thought the accommodation in those lodges was absolutely fantastic.
I did.
I didn't actually see the accommodation in the tents or the other lodges.
No, I've seen pictures, I think, of a few, but I haven't actually been inside one. We also had a little veranda with seating at the front and like a nice, one of those suspended chairs that you can like wibble around in.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is you can't bring food or drink onto the island.
No.
So that's something you need to mind. So if you want a snack.
Yeah.
Beyond, because you get breakfast and dinner included.
Yes, but not lunch.
And if you want a drink beyond like a basic machine coffee or a orange juice or water or whatever, then you have to buy it. So if you want a bottle of water, you got to buy it. If you want a decent coffee, you got to buy it. If you want wine, Prosecco, cocktails weren't great, but...
That was on my list.
That was on your list.
But still on my list.
Okay, I won't spoil this. So, you could go in and you could have a pretty decent breakfast, and then you probably wouldn't eat until the evening.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be definitely a top tip. So if you time it right, you could go for a late breakfast because it stayed open till I think nearly midday for breakfast.
Yeah, it did.
You could time it so that you roll out of bed after a really late night, stagger over to the pool area where the sort of breakfast area was, and you could just fill your boots on unlimited breakfast items, and that would keep you going if you did it late enough in the day, and then just have like tea at 6.
Yeah,
and that would probably keep you going.
And that would probably be enough if you were looking to reduce your costs.
If you really
on this.
wanted to reduce the spending, you could do that because that's all included.
Yeah, and there were a number of there was a bar at the pool. You could buy drinks from the restaurant. Yeah. There was a drift bar down the front of the island, and every time they had a party, they also had a bar available. And all of these things use your wristbands throughout the course of the thing. So typical day kind of started with us sort of going for breakfast, then either coming back or going straight to the pool and chilling out. Throughout the course of the day, there were a variety of workshops that people could go to and attend. Yeah. And then there was like pool entertainment during the day with like games or whatever.
Games. Yeah.
Or you can go to the drift bar and there's a very similar sort of vibe going on if it wasn't a pool day for people.
Yeah, there was definitely entertainment at both bits. And the drift bar is right down by the beachy bit by the sea. And so that was more outdoor seating rather than there are sun lounges actually. They were on the beachy bit, weren't they? Yeah. But a lot of people tended to sit on like the cushioned areas in the drift bar. Yeah. And lots of tables and things.
And I have to say the view, in fact, the whole island was incredibly beautiful. It was stunning. And you could see the crystal clear sea. You could swim around in it if you wanted to. The pool was really nice. The pool was seawater as well, which was quite an unusual thing.
It's fucking cold.
But it was always fucking freezing, which was kind of
the sea was actually warmer.
Yeah, the sea was slightly warmer. And so typically throughout the day, you'd either be at the drift bar or you'd be at the pool. And I think the entertainment flips depending on, like they labeled different days like a pool day or a drift bar day. You could still go to the opposite one. It's just it wouldn't be so busy at that particular point.
Yeah, possibly.
And then people would scuttle off for dinner at about 6-ish. Then they'd go back to their rooms and get changed for the parties, which typically started at sort of 8.
Well, we started at 10, apart from one night when it was a sunset.
There we go.
That was the 8 p.m. one.
Yeah, so 8 or 10, depending on what was going on. Then you'd see some entertainment.
Oh, my God.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. And then the party would be open to sort of dancing and to whatever, with playrooms open, I think, from sort of 10 o'clock, I think.
I'd say 10, 11, very late.
Yeah.
All the stuff started late, but I think that's because people have very full days.
So let's talk a little bit about the playrooms, right? So the playrooms.
Straight into the playrooms.
In the rooms. So they were literally in the middle of the island.
Yes, they were not too far from us.
Like a 5-minute walk, realistically.
Yeah, by the pizza bar, handily.
Yeah, very, very handily by the pizza bar.
I reckon that's like genius.
Maybe. So within it, there was a sort of a play area that single guys could go into. There was a play area for couples.
Yeah.
And there was also like a BDSM section. There wasn't any section where there weren't any sort of closed off doors or weren't any little rooms. It was all very open.
Yeah.
5 or 6 beds in the couples area, 3 or so beds in the single guy area, and the BDSM area had all sorts of crosses and swings and stuff in it. And that was sort of quasi curtained off.
Yes, it was. The single man area, I think, had a little sort of curtain thing as well.
I think they all had curtains
going
in, but you could pull them aside, and they were generally open because there were people manning the station. So if you needed a clean sheet, you could call them in and they'd come in.
Oh, yeah, that was really good. If you could request that the bed is like remade.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of like condoms in there as well, and
big
wipes
bowls of condoms.
and kitchen roll type stuff. So there was lots of sort of amenities to help your play session.
And the lighting was quite nice. It was like sort of pink and neon-y and looked quite cool.
Yeah, and it looked like it had been created out of like crates and stuff. So it was quite rustic and industrial, but actually worked quite well because the lighting was quite nice. I think there was a little bit of background music, but not masses. Oh. And it just sort of set quite a nice little vibe, really. So let's just talk about the different nights and talk about what was going on, just because the entertainment changed every night pretty much, right?
Yes, it did. Well, it was the same on 2 of the nights, but it was all different themes. So let's talk about the themes
and talk about the themes. So Tuesday night, the first night, we get off the boat, running around trying to understand the island, trying to get to grips with it. And the first night was the Enchanted Forest. And this was set around the pool area.
Which was handy for us. The first one was right next to where our lodge was
like
situated.
A 2-minute walk from where we were, which is really useful.
So I naively thought that all the parties would be near us. It's like, yes, we struck gold. But then I realised they rotated.
You had to actually use your legs for a change, which was quite amusing. So there was a whole sort of welcome party going on at the pool, which is quite fun. They did some sort of aerial hoop work, which is cool, which we saw that. And again, the entertainment was really good. The first night, I was like, oh, this is nice. But it didn't blow you away. Didn't blow me away. And I was like, okay. There was a bit of
fire as well.
There was a bit of fire and stuff. And I think I was like, okay, cool. And they had some sexy performers. And I was like, oh, this is nice. This is good stuff. I'm enjoying this. And then it went into full on like dance music, sort of techno-y kind of music, which isn't really my jam.
No.
But also what I was really surprised at actually was how quickly everything dissipated. And this was a little bit of a theme. So ordinarily, I think the island, if it's sold out to capacity, has about 600 guests on it. Yeah. And I think that there was week 2, which is the week that we went, because the first week sold out. This is week 2. Probably had about 450 or so guests on it.
Yeah, but it felt about right. I mean, the island was quite big, really, when you think about it. If people were scattered at all the different locations, whereas if you collectively brought them all into one area, then yes, I reckon 450 at most.
Yeah, and I think, what we saw, the pattern certainly that I observed was that people would stick around for the entertainment, or we'd get a variety of people for that and dressing up. And for the most part, people dressed up. There were a few that showed up in like shorts and t-shirts. It was
maybe they didn't get the memo, or
maybe
just didn't want to
didn't want to do that. And that's fine. They just looked very out of place, like walking, particularly as the nights got progressively more elaborate and people's costumes became more elaborate. And then all of a sudden you see someone dressed in full on sort of metal jaw and leather hat and all this sort of stuff. And then behind them, you'd see someone walk along in like their holiday shorts and t-shirts.
The majority of people did theme.
Yes. And they looked fantastic. People really, really made an effort.
I was so impressed by some of the costumes.
Yeah.
They must have put a lot of thought into that.
And it must have taken a lot of suitcase space as well, which, we really tried to cut that down. So the first night was Enchanted Forest. We dressed up and I had like a meshy top thing on and sparkly shorts, and you had like this kind of nice green thing on with little antlers and stuff. And we had these headbands that lit up. So it was fun.
Yeah, we leaned into the theme. We didn't go crazy because we didn't want to take much stuff, but we did make an effort.
Yeah, I was very surprised on the first night how quickly it seemed to be busy at the pool and people standing around. And then there was hardly anyone left. Just thinned out really quickly. And we thought, is it people going to the playrooms? And we didn't check out the playrooms that night, but a number of people told us that the playroom was
also quiet.
Was also very quiet.
Yeah.
Now, I do wonder if that's like first day, people have gone quite heavy as they got in and they just, or they're done with traveling or passed out. Or maybe they're just nervous and trying to get into the swing of things.
Could be.
But also I think there was a real mix of people at the event. And there were quite a lot of kink-heavy people.
Yeah.
Not heavy kink people, but kink-heavy people. And I'm not sure that party environment was their jam. They all seemed to just disappear. You'd see them walking around during the daytime, but when it came to the evening, maybe less so.
Yeah.
But the efforts and the entertainment were really good. I enjoyed the first night. And I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to what else the week was going to present. Now, second day, Wednesday, right? Blow, blow, blow thing. And that day was all about, and that was again for us, another day chilling out by the pool.
We had a cabana, a day bed, didn't we?
We had a day bed.
Which you book separately.
Yeah, you pay extra for that, for the day bed, which is right next to the pool. And we got, within our group, we had all 3 cabanas next to each other.
Yeah, we took it in turns to book one each day and then sort of shared a little base camp, didn't we?
And that was about €350, but it included a fruit platter, which was really good, and also a bottle of champagne.
Proper champagne, like a nice one.
Yeah.
It was not just like a local variant that you didn't know what you were getting. It was decent champagne. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah. So we did that during the day, and that was a really sort of nice, chilled out, getting to know people day.
I really enjoyed it. It was really lovely.
There was, I think that day was the day of the vibrator breaking, perhaps, where someone had brought a vibrator and it ended up in the pool, which broke it in that we couldn't turn the thing off. So it was quite amusing that a few of the ladies around the pool tried to use this thing and wear it down. And no, it just kept rumbling. And I heard that legend says that it just rumbled its way and is now making its way back to the UK across the sea, rumbling through the water. I can neither confirm nor deny whether this is true or not, but that's what I'm going to believe. But that night was Cirque Bizarre.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you sort of went as a little, like a little bunny thing, right? Like a little bunny girl kind of costume, which is really cute.
Like a magician's bunny, I guess.
And I had a sort of like strongman's costume on, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, but yeah, I do recall it now. It seems so long ago.
Well, it's almost like a week. Well, it is a week ago.
It is, yeah.
Or over a week ago at this point.
But this was in the amphitheatre this time, the location.
So this is a different location, and it was literally an amphitheatre on the island.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I fucking loved this location.
I think this is my favourite location.
This is my favourite location, and perhaps my favourite sort of like actual party night. For the
party, it was the best location.
It was, and I think the reason is that if you imagine a sort of C shape and with lots of seating where the guests could sit there, and in the middle there was a sort of stage which you would later be able to dance on, and behind that a bar. Well. And when we turned up, we were like 2 or 3 minutes and the entertainment started.
Oh my God, that blew me away.
And that entertainment, I have to say, was fan-fucking-tastic.
It was phenomenal.
So it was
like light shows.
It was like a light show. If you imagine a bunch of people wandering around with lightsabers and lit up hoops, and they were all sort of programmed. So as they twirled them around, they made patterns, they made pictures in time with the music, and they were doing flips. And
I've seen stuff like that on YouTube before and been quite impressed. And I thought, oh wow, that must take some coordination. And it really does when you look at how well timed it was for the light sequences to all work together. They must have was a lot of expertise, I think, that sat in that.
It was really, really cool.
And I was transfixed.
But I think the Lumina Productions did it.
Yeah.
So they did their thing, and they had fire, they had the lights, and honestly, we were stunned. One
man was just like somersaulting like constantly, like, oh my God, how are you doing that? And then there was like hoops it was just fabulous.
And I've got some footage of that, and we'll do something with that at some point. But I was absolutely blown away. And actually, we're sat there with Kate watching this thing, and we're both trying to film it for social media and stuff. And I think most of the video is just us going, fucking hell, holy shit! And it was that impressive and that cool. And I think, you know, hats off to them. They did a fantastic job, and the organisers from Spicy Island and Spicy Match did getting them in was just next level.
Although my top tip for that night would be take something to sit on, because it's a wall, an amphitheatre wall.
It is a wall, yeah. So
and it's like half an hour of entertainment, which is bloody amazing, but also, my God, you get a numb bum.
So we were a bit knackered at this point, because this was like, for us, day 5 of drinking on the road.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So we didn't go on and dance.
No, but I don't think I went and danced properly at any of them, because if I'm quite honest, it's completely just preference on my part. None of the music was really my thing.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I'm quite fussy when it comes to music. I like what I like, and that wasn't what I liked, but I can understand how it's music designed to get a party dancing. That's cool. But I was quite happy to sit back on one of the walled areas. And there were quite a few other people sitting there that also weren't dancing, which is fine. But the good thing was you could hear about.
That's what I really liked about that venue. If you went into the dance area on the stage, it was thumping and it was great. And everyone was jumping up and down and dancing and having the best of times. But if you took a few steps back, the sound dropped off significantly, and you could have a really good conversation, or just about have a conversation.
Yeah, you were still elevating your voice, and we came back with croaky voices that morning, but you could hear. So.
And what I really loved, actually, I think this is when our group really came together for me, and that we got to properly have some good conversations with people, get to know them better, find out what they like, find out what you know, what they are or who they are as people. And, you know, I had some great conversations, everything from lifestyle related stuff to X-Men films to all sorts of nonsense. And I really loved that. And actually it made me fall in love with our group. I was like, these are really good people and I'm enjoying this. I had great
connections that night. I really, really enjoyed talking to the little group I ended up sitting with. And in fact, we weren't really together much that night at all. We knew each other, but we were just talking to
different parts of the crowd. I
had a great time. It was like so interesting.
Mostly because I wasn't there.
No, not at all. I mean, I talked mainly about you anyway, so
it's fine.
But I really enjoyed the connections that started to build that night, and I was already looking forward to like hanging out with the people again because the connection was so good.
I absolutely agree, and I think that was something that I took away, and that the atmosphere was fantastic. Yeah. Whilst we were absolutely fucking knackered, it was like a really good night. The entertainment was banging. The music was tolerable.
Well, even though we were knackered, we ended up talking till 2 in the morning, and the party was pretty much, they all wind down about 3. And we stayed there till easily 2 o'clock chatting, and then we all eventually went, right, we need to head out. We need to sleep.
But I think the thing is that, again, the party itself, the dancing bit, which I kind of in my head, like based on what people had told me about previous years and the previous week, I expected the dance thing to be just going on until the early hours. But actually it thinned out pretty quickly.
Again, it did.
And, you know, there couldn't have been more than 60 people on the, which sounds quite a lot, but when you consider this a whole amphitheatre just bouncing up and down, sure, they were having the best of times and the entertainment was there and they were really giving it some and they really brought the atmosphere up. But at the same time, you could visibly see it thin out a bit.
I mean, there definitely wasn't 400 people.
No.
So I didn't know where everyone else was, but I mean, there was a good, comfortable number there for sure. But maybe everyone was just knackered or having their own parties in their rooms.
Well, the next day, which is the Thursday, and don't worry, there's only one more day after this, folks. We'll stop talking about days as we go along. But this was the steampunk day. Now, during this day, we actually went to a workshop. Now, we booked this workshop
in advance.
Because you book them. You can book them while you're there if they're not full, but you can also book them in advance on Spicy Match.
Oh, there's a little kind of tent area outside the pool bit in between the restaurant and the pool, and that's where Spicy have a little base camp where you can go and ask questions and book for classes if there's any available. So I was just going to say there was always a little presence of people there.
I love that, and that anyone that was wearing those shirts was super fucking helpful.
Like crew.
Like crew sort of shirts. And always they greeted you as you came in. Yeah. If there was a change to a venue, which happened on one day that the venue switched around, they'd let you know. And actually it was I felt that if I had any questions, I could just know who to go and see.
They were always visible and they always had their little T-shirts on. So you could always just go, oh my God, that's where they are. I need to go see them.
Yeah. That was really good.
They were.
So we'd booked a class because when we'd gone to Mexico many moons ago, one of the things that we'd done is that we'd done the
lingam massage,
and we couldn't get into the yoni one
because it was cancelled.
And you've always held it.
Wow.
You've always held your yoni against me.
I've always held my yoni against you.
Exactly. So I
wanted a yoni massage.
You wanted a yoni massage. That much is really apparent. So I booked this class, which was called the Joyful Journey to Female Multi-Orgasm Workshop.
I mean, that sounds like it would do the job, right?
You'd think that, right? Now, we heard rumblings throughout the course of the week that this isn't that class. It's actually a squirting class. And I'm like, well, maybe that was just one that's wrong and that this is the right one. Yeah. And we'll turn up and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I had this little ebb of doubt in the back of my mind. And I think it's fair to say that, I mean, squirting is not your favourite thing. And we've talked about this quite extensively on the podcast.
Well, we wouldn't have wanted to gone to a class on squirting, no. I mean, I've not even a passing interest, but certainly not enough interest for me to want to go to a class on it.
And pay money to do so.
And pay money to have someone try and make me squirt.
Yeah. So we rock up to this. It was going to be in like this place called the Zen Den, but it ended up being outside.
Yeah.
And
in the heat.
And then actually they announced while we're there, we'll gather around about 25 people.
No, not even that many.
Maybe about 20 then. about 20 people all sat around in a circle, and these two instructors are there, and they say, well, it says it was this, but it's actually a squirting class. And I'm like, already I feel as though my trust has been betrayed.
Well, that's not what we signed up and paid for.
Exactly. So I think we were already slightly put out. And then it became a little bit like a sort of, it was a mindfulness exercise.
It was a bit mindfully.
And it felt very much like a team building, Myers-Briggs style, which colour are you thing.
Yeah,
where
bit team build.
A little bit team building. And you and I, Mrs. H, we live in the HR and the comms world at work. And if we've done one exercise like this, we've done 1,000.
I've seen those cards before.
Yeah, and there was like...
and those questions before.
Yeah, so there was a series of questions like, are you led by your gut, or are you led by, I don't know, your instincts or your
I see what they were trying to
chaos
do.
or whatever. And,
I do.
And there was also photos that you had to kind of explore how you felt about a photo. And this took about 25 minutes. 25 minutes.
Of an hour-long class.
Of an hour-long class.
I was getting a bit like, where is this? Well, where is this going? But I did think this is not at all what we signed up for.
Yeah, and you know, at this point you had no orgasms, so it didn't help. But so, and then there was a couple minutes talk on squirting.
Oh yeah,
there was like a physical,
but there wasn't really any science talked about.
Yeah, it kind of that got skipped over, and there was also like a physical exercise, which was all about sort of developing, like, is it cognitive?
It's not cognitive dissonance. That's something to do with like having differing opinions, but it's more around just blocking out detractors and things that stand in your way of your body doing one thing and your mind should be doing another.
So basically, like every time I have sex and I'm trying not to come, that's exactly the technique.
Think about standing on one leg and counting backwards from 100 in 27s.
Yeah, it's that kind of exercise.
Yeah,
which I think also
doesn't work for me.
Well, I think everything that you've learned about your journey so far is that you need to concentrate on what's going on in order to get somewhere. Mm-hmm. So. You know, I think that felt very counterintuitive to what we've learned.
It really did, and to what end? I'm not really sure it would have had desired outcome anyway. Because actually, what I like when I'm played with or when I'm in a sexual encounter is feeling sexy.
Yeah,
and I don't want to spend half of it thinking about, I don't know, motorways or something because I want to feel sexy.
And I totally, and that much I could see on your face. Yeah, so they did a quick demonstration of it. Like the industry gave us a 2-minute talk on squirting. And I was like, okay, and then a 30-second demo. And then it's like, right, kids, off you go and make your other half squirt. You know, and I think we kind of went, Nah, this is not for us. And they, bless them, they came over and tried to talk to us about it. And I was like, well, you know, this is, and I think what was interesting is that we had a little bit of a discussion around actually when you squirt, Mrs. H, or normally when you squirt, it's not an orgasm. It's just your body.
It's a physiological reaction to some vigorous pressure.
Yeah. And I don't think they could quite get their heads around that. No. So at that point, we sort of looked at each other and like, we're just going to go. So we just...
But quietly.
We just
said, we'll go off and practice on our own somewhere. Bye.
Yeah. And we sort of noped our way out of it. So I think, you know, we spoke to a lot of people who attended the various workshops. We heard that the Shibari one was really good if you're interested in that.
I hope it was.
And, you know, quite a few people went to the multi-orgasm class or the squirting one. And, you know, they actually made their partners squirt for the first time, which is great. If that's what you were looking for and that's what you were trying to do, that's more fantastic.
Excellent.
I think I was just more frustrated over the fact that it wasn't what it said on the tin.
No.
And the approach was just not for us.
It's not for our taste. No.
And, you know, I like a little bit of science and research and I like those facts to be really accurate. And I kind of need that assurance with the approach, and safety and all that sort of stuff needs to be.
I think it just needs to be a little bit more focused on the bits that we would have found useful and reassuring.
But equally, it wasn't the class that we signed up for. No. So I can't really, you know, kick off too much about it because, you know, whilst I booked one thing and it was a different thing, I'm like, it would be wrong for me to kind of moan about it too much because it wasn't what I was looking forward to experiencing. No. But anyway, lots of people. Yeah, that was Thursday. And then we got to the evening and that was the steampunk party. And this was fucking banging. This was one of my favourite nights. Again,
another of your favourite nights.
One of my favourite nights. I think I had two favourite nights.
Oh, okay.
The previous one, the Cirque one, and also this one.
And this was down by the south.
This was down on the beach.
Yeah.
And actually it took place as the sun was setting.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And the view, stunning coast of the place. I say coast. It's very, very small, but watching the water, and we sat down and had a bottle of Prosecco with Kate and we took some pictures and everyone looked fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The interesting thing about this one is actually you have to walk down towards it and follow this road down. Some people were able to get a buggy down and because there are a number of small buggies like helping people around or whatever. But the vast majority of people just walked down. And it was great because as they were walking down, you could see their costumes, you could see the effort, you could see the excitement. And it was all on this little platform down by the water.
Great.
And actually the music was like really heavy.
Probably my favourite music of the whole week because it was a little bit more, not metal, but it was more in line with the vibe of steampunk.
Yeah.
So
well, it started off with some Rammstein right at the beginning, and there was a few like metal tracks to kick off.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Some of the tracks were a little bit more
mixes of 80s, but with a bit metal and
and a little bit more. I found them more interesting rather than the constant.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the music more of this one. In fact, this was the only one I think where I did dance a bit, like a little bit here and there.
Oh, that's cool. See, we ended up sort of chatting in various groups and we didn't stick together completely on this one. We kind of just...
We mingled around on our own, I think, and spoke to little different groups and couples and what have you. And then occasionally we'd like bump into each other again and and then we'd like separate and go off on another little mingling spree, which was nice because I think it meant that we both stepped away from, oh, we're a couple and we're going to go and mingle the shit out of things together.
Yeah.
We just went off and had little conversations with other people separately and occasionally kind of joined in on the circle and it all came together.
Yeah, I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
I really liked the atmosphere on that one. Again, it thinned out and there were less people there than I thought were going to be there.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it still felt busy because you're on a little platform on top of some rocks. So you kind of like, okay, it feels more densely populated because everyone wants to stand on the dance thing. What I would say though, if you wanted to go for a wee, you either went behind a rock or you travelled for like an hour.
If you were lucky, you could time one of the little buggies and they were waiting around to ferry people backwards and forwards to the bathroom blocks.
Yeah.
But I got lucky a couple of times, but then they disappeared.
Well, in terms of entertainment though.
Yeah.
So because it was all flattened on one level, I could barely see the entertainment.
Oh yeah, that was the downside. And it wasn't the same entertainment as the previous night, which I'm quite glad about because I would have loved to have seen that again. Yeah. And I would have been gutted if I hadn't been able to see it.
So it was really tricky unless you're right at the front and people were all pushing and pressing towards it. So it felt like I only caught a little bit here and there. And there was so it started off with...
it was amazing pole dancing.
With, and chair work. Chair work.
It was great.
And she was fantastic. She did a really good job. And then there was a bit of fire stuff going on. And that was really cool.
Just couldn't see much of it.
I just couldn't see it very much. And I think that I was a bit disappointed at that. And I was about, 6 people deep in that crowd. And when you're Hobbit sized, you've not got a fucking chance. Now, at one point, they did step up more onto the beach and did some other better firework.
Yeah, and we caught that little bit.
Caught that bit. But the rest of it, I couldn't see. But that said, the bits I did see looked really cool.
That leg you saw.
That leg and that bit of fire spinning around. That was awesome. So it was a pretty good piece. Now that night.
Oh yeah.
That night we actually went to the playrooms.
We actually did.
On
our own.
Not on our own. I think we osmosised our way into a group looking to play.
We had made a good connection the previous night. I think we already referred to that and said that the connection had been really good the previous night. Which is lovely. And then that carried on again, I think, in the same vein at the steampunk party because we carried on with those conversations. And nothing really happened at the party. There was no kissing or anything like that. It was just more nice conversations.
But I found that a little bit
I saw some people making out at that party. In fact, I saw quite a bit of stuff going on at that party.
Yeah, and the same is true of the whole week, actually, in that there were snippets of little bits of sex going on
at the parties,
at the parties and at the pool, but not a great deal. Not like when we went to Desire and there was just like, it felt like lots of people were just like getting it on
at it all the time. I mean, wherever you looked, if you looked, you could see there was bits of stuff going on throughout the day here and there. Like someone was getting a blowjob by the pool, or someone was idly sitting on a float on the pool, and someone was playing it. But it wasn't like overt. Maybe. And
I think going into this holiday, I felt, from what we've been told, that it was all a bit crazy and people were at it and a bit hedonistic, but I didn't really witness that. Now I know that on one day,
we didn't go to the drift bar.
The day that we left the drift bar slightly early because we were knackered and needed a nap, we missed some sort of
kind of mad Kama Sutra orgy
thing.
The
we totally and utterly missed that.
I'm not bothered that I missed it though.
I kind of am.
Are you?
Yeah, I kind of like, it would have been nice to be part of that, I think.
Did you want to be part of a Kama Sutra drift orgy?
Depending on who was involved, yeah. But anyway, let's come back to this point. Cool. So I think, that night we went to the playrooms and we waited around for about 5 minutes for a bed. And what I really loved is that, so a couple of people...
How many were there of us in the playroom?
Well, eight of us trying to fit on a bed that's clearly designed for...
2, 3, 4.
3,
four,
maybe. Well,
I'd say 4 would comfortably fit on the bed because it was a
not
double
like
bed.
Next to each other, like on top of each other, maybe.
That's the idea, surely.
Well, yes, but there was not enough room for 8 people on that bed.
It was definitely too small for 8 people.
And
it's like a game of Jenga.
What I loved is that, so we knew a couple of people that were finishing up their play session, and one of our party went in and sort of was like, hey, and then just sat down on the bed and started like marking his turf.
Taking his boots off.
I loved that. That was just like absolutely...
Just casual, hi.
and then when we all got in there, what I really, really appreciated was that one of the ladies, really lovely lady, asked what was everyone's style, approach, consent, play style, all this, and did the proper around the room, not room, because around the bed sort of play style, which was really good.
Should happen more often.
Yeah, I endorse that. 1,000 bedhopper points to that particular person. Well done, you've earned them.
1,000?
1,000.
Wow, you are giving these away like candy.
Well, I haven't given away any for ages, so if I'm going to give it away, I might as well do it in a nicer.
60 away yesterday.
Did you? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Just randomly.
Just dishing them out like that. Yeah. Fine. So that was really cool. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of, it all just like kicked off like that.
It just kicked off.
And it was a very sexy adventure.
Absolutely. I had a great time.
You had a great time. I had a great time. I'm not going to go into the details on this one. I think this might be one that we either talk about for another episode. Yeah, we're just going to tease you a little bit.
This is really more about how we found the experience on the island and the spicy
like we're in Lost.
I could not get that out of my head the whole time. I just kept thinking about the numbers and the polar bears.
Hey, brother.
All of the stuff. I'm like,
apologies to all Scottish people for that terrible impression.
Purgatory. But yeah, I just kept feeling like this vibe of the island, and I got quite protective of the island by the end. I saw someone whizzing against a rock on one of the nights, and I got really annoyed because I was like, "You're hurting the island. It will come back and hurt you."
The smoke monster and the polar bear are going to show up.
I got really defensive over it. I was like, "This beautiful island, and someone bloody having a wee by the wall." The island will come back and haunt you for this.
So we ended up getting back, I don't know, like 3:30 in the morning.
Another late one.
It
was definitely gone 3.
At this point, this is our 7th or 6th late night in a row.
You just couldn't do anything about it. You just had to roll with it.
And I think it was we'd get up at a reasonable hour, we'd go for breakfast, then we'd just carry on drinking once we got to the pool.
Bed and I wiped off the steampunkism and then but do you know what, I actually didn't feel horrific on any morning. Like when I say horrific, I've had way worse hangovers. We very, very cleverly took with us some liquid IV.
Yeah, that was a saviour. But I also think that come sort of Thursday, we were starting to dial back the amazing amount of alcohol that we were consuming. Well, we did.
Actually, no, I did. You're right. I couldn't cope with it after a while, and I was like, I have to tail it back, or at least modify my drinks in some way.
I think we still had a drink. Don't get me wrong, but we weren't sort of chucking it down our gullets like fucking monsters.
No.
Which was maybe a slight improvement. Who knows?
I didn't feel terrible at any point. I didn't ruin my day by having a hangover from hell. So
that's because we kept drinking. Yeah. I think the hangover is going to show up in like 3 days still. And it's going to be like, fucking caught you in the end, you bastards.
Maybe.
So the last day, right? Or the last night, Friday night. Naked White party or the White party.
Again, a different venue. Is it the playrooms this time?
This was actually at the playrooms. Now, throughout the course of the day, this was another pool day.
Yes, it was another pool day.
Which was quite nice.
I think, was this the day I swam in the sea? I think it was, wasn't it? It was down by the drift bar.
Maybe.
It was. I swam in the sea and I was like, oh my God, how have I not swam in the sea until this point? It's beautiful. But yes, it was never chill out by the pool sort of bar day.
Yes, this may well be in the day that we missed the orgy
You're correct, we did.
By the drift bar. Because we were also knackered and we were like, we want to go big because this is the final night party.
We'll need a nap.
We'll need a nap. Yeah. We need to be rested. We need to chill out. It's going to be awesome. We're ready to rumble.
Yeah.
Let's leave the drift bar for now. And it was all nice and chilled. There wasn't a massive thing going on there. And then lo and behold, as we met everyone, they were like, wow, were you part of the big orgy? And I was like, motherfuckers.
Oh, bless
I missed it. But you know how I like to be involved with as much as I can be, unless I don't want to be. Such is life, right? So we went to the White party.
Yeah.
And the White party, what do we wear? I wore like I think you called me a tennis coach predator, I think was the phrase.
You literally looked like you were a tennis coach.
So it was like a
mesh thing on and you just needed a whistle around your neck.
Sure. It was like mesh all in one romper suit jumper thing with white underneath. Yeah. And you wore this really lovely white thing, which you've probably seen on TikTok or whatever, or seen on our Twitters, folks.
Yeah.
You looked absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
You did look lovely. And also our friend Kate looked marvellous as well.
I think we did.
I think as a threesome,
knocked it out
as a unit, we did very well with our outfits. I think we did for minimum luggage and maximum impact. I think we did pretty well given the circumstances. So we went because this was held at the playrooms, right?
It was, and we knew that also the entertainment we'd seen at the previous party, the one we really, really loved, the amphitheatre party, was going to be returning.
They were coming back.
Night.
Yeah.
And we were very excited because it was so good and we knew we'd get to see it again.
Yeah.
So we were like, right, we're going to get there early, get a good seat.
So we literally got there and in the grand tradition of all British people, marked our turf by pretty much sitting down and sort of queuing up, basically, waiting for it to happen.
We stayed near the bit where we knew the stage was going to be. So we was like, right, fuck this, we're going to get a turf.
Get a turf. We're going to mark our turf. We're going to clear out space.
Because I really wanted to see the entertainment again and close up. And plus you were filming some stuff, I think.
So, yeah, I mean, we once again, so Kerry Gold did this really good pole dancing thing. Yeah, incredible. Really good job. Yeah. Really impressed. And then the light piece... Lumina Productions. Yeah. Lumina Productions. There we go. Came out and did another fantastic showing.
Amazing.
Now I was sort of sat down right at the very front here, and it was great. The difficulty is that I'm trying to film it, but I'm also like I really want to watch it. So it's that sort of oh my god, this is great, but also I need to capture some of this stuff.
So good.
Oh, poor me! What a poor life I lead.
But it was excellent.
They were great, and then once that finished, it felt like the whole island just sort of disappeared. It was so strange.
It was a very bizarre final night because it seemed a lot less people
than
we'd had seen previously. And, as venues go, it wasn't particularly much bigger than, say, the pool area or the amphitheatre.
Because it's like an indoor little...
There were definitely less people there.
Yeah, I mean, it was packed, I think, for the start for the thing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, after about 15 minutes, it sort of thinned out. And sort of, if I'm being really honest, felt like it fizzled out. Now, we'd been told about the White Party on the previous week. And actually, we've been told about the White Party. Because Spicy Match's White Parties are like infamously fantastic.
Oh, okay.
They've got like a really good reputation and like they're like sexual and sensual and all this stuff. Yeah. But it just didn't seem to kick off.
Well, I guess... people would have gone into those little playrooms and the whole venue was in the playrooms. So in the space around the entrance to the playrooms, that's where the dance thing was set up and the bar was set up.
It's like a big barn and the playrooms are at one side and
bars at the other.
And the bars at the other. And it's a pretty big space.
Yeah.
And that felt really densely packed whilst the performers were going on. But as soon as that stopped, everything sort of drifted away. And actually the playrooms weren't that busy. Now we'd heard that people were sort of already cracking on, didn't even make it to the playrooms. There was no space anywhere. But actually having stuck my head into a couple of the playrooms, it wasn't all kicking off. And people, like the music didn't seem to quite fit the vibe. It didn't feel sensual or sexual. It felt very dancey again.
It felt very, very dancey. Very, very dancey. And it was so loud.
Yeah.
And I know parties should be loud, probably, if you're going to have a real good dancey party thing. But for me, it rendered conversation absolutely impossible. Like literally could not hear anything unless I stepped outside of that little venue and kind of stepped out into the air, you know, where the little pizza bar was nearby as well.
Well, I think people just, they kept stepping further and further back.
Because it was hot in there as well.
It was hot. What I did like is they gave everyone these little foam light up things. Great. And that was fun.
They were really fun. What I didn't like was stepping outside that little bit to be able to hear and breathe a little bit meant I was then a feast for the biting frenzy that then happened on my final night.
Yeah, so we'd managed to avoid pretty much, like we'd had one or two bites.
Like 2 max.
Yeah, and then the final night we both had a number of bites because of the open air environment.
We were stood outside there for so long.
Top tip, if you're coming along, do bring a level of bug repellent and salve and all that sort of stuff. It couldn't defend. We can't repel fire of that magnitude. It was a little bit like that. And it kind of just fizzled out. And I think we stayed around and talked to some people, but I think by the time we'd got to the end of it, everyone was a bit tired because the party wasn't leaping out and inspiring people as much as we'd hoped. We all felt a little bit like, okay. And then it just drifted off and sailed off into the sunset.
We had a couple of nice little kisses with people towards the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And definitely made some promises to meet each other again off the island kind of thing in the future, which was brilliant. And I'm really happy that we got to have those final little connections. And in fact, we've already been in touch with this. It's great. So I'm really happy that all happened. But I think you're right. People just went, you know what? Tomorrow some people had to travel early. Some people had to be on planes early. Some people had early boats off the island. So it just kind of went,
Well, so the next day, we sort of, our takeoff or our departure boat time was 1 o'clock, which was fine because we managed to have some breakfast and catch up with people and say more goodbyes.
Yeah, it's lovely.
But also you kind of sat there. You can't go anywhere because you're on an island. We're sat at the drift bar and we're just kind of waiting for that moment. I will say, as we left, I did feel quite sad. And I felt, that I'd had a nice time and I'd met some really nice people and I was going to miss those people. And actually the island itself was just beautiful.
It was beautiful.
So I kind of, I did kind of come away with a bit of...
It was sad to say goodbye to
yeah, it was a bit sad to say goodbye, as often is the case with these things. Not quite the sort of like tears streaming down our faces levels of desire that we had, but then I think the connections that we made...
we've been there for longer.
Yeah, we had been there for more time.
Yeah, definitely. This was a much shorter span. It was only 4 days. And, I think we did make some pretty good connections in that 4 days. But you're right, it's not quite enough to be kind of like wailing,
weeping as you get on the boat. What I did really like is that we were joined by a couple of friends on the boat, and that was a really nice little moment to say goodbye.
Because then we got to go for lunch when we got off the boat.
What I liked as well is that we got off the boat, and then a couple of people had some delays, and we were able to say goodbye to them again.
Even
and I was like high fives, goodbyes all round for the next 6 days. That was great. So, Spicy Island, right?
Yes.
Is there anything good that we've not talked about that you really liked? Oh, she's put her glasses on, gentle listener. This could be a moment here.
Good. Right, let's have a look. So I would say what I did like, which surprised me, was I actually did like the themes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we have talked about the themes in each time. But in terms of good, I'm thinking about the version of reality versus my perception.
Yeah.
And my perception was maybe, like you said earlier, that it might be a bit full on sex fest, hedonistic, which is why people go there maybe. But also I was a little bit fearful that I might be a little bit, oh my God, this is a lot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Okay.
I think it could have been if you'd really gone looking for that, and if you'd really ramped up your own level of fun and made that happen, you could. But it was also amazing to just chill out, and it was a lot more chill than I thought it would be. Agreed.
In fact, if anything, I'm slightly disappointed that it wasn't a bit.
I know you are.
I think, but equally that may be down to our rubbish ability to mingle and put ourselves out there.
I think it just ended up being that was just how the vibe was.
Well, I think there were a few barriers, I think, to that level of mingling. There were a lot of people who, whilst they did speak English, it wasn't their first language. And I think there were quite a lot of people in groups. Yeah. So you'd get a bunch of, I don't know, Croatians, a bunch of Germans, whatever. There was also quite a lot of kink people who kept to themselves largely. Whilst they were very lovely and they would speak to you over breakfast or whatever, no one was like going out of their way to say hello and have conversations. And I think had we not had our group, I think we'd have struggled quite significantly.
Possibly.
So, I almost kind of, if that atmosphere was so forwardly sexual, we may have had to lean into it a little bit.
Yeah, possibly.
But it really wasn't. And I think we've been very fortunate that we've been to Desire and other places and seen like, oh, there's some sex happening at the side of the pool. There wasn't anywhere near the volume that I expected or I've seen before.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was going there and a little bit intimidated. And actually I was like,
this is fine.
This is very manageable. But also people didn't really come and chat to us, like unless they were part of our group.
I think quite a few, but not in the way that you're maybe saying.
Yeah. The very, very few people came over to have like a proper conversation or to sort of be like, hey, how are you guys doing? There was none of that at all. And I think that's where I was like a little bit, okay. But equally, I've not gone out and gone, hey, this is us. We want to get to know you better, wink, wink, etc.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the other good thing that we haven't really picked up on yet, but I'm going to mention quickly, is the body confidence issue, because I know I'm probably not alone in saying that I had a number of concerns that I would feel not unattractive, that's the wrong word, but I would feel out of place because I'm not quite the size I want to be, or I've not, I felt like I was going to feel bad in my skin. And I think it didn't pan out that way.
I think you had a few moments.
Yeah, I did, but not to the extent that I'd probably be anticipating. And in the end, I just went, you know what? I'm here. It's fine. I did feel like a bit of a massive whale occasionally, but also I don't think anyone really came up to me and went, ugh. Yeah.
Why was Rick Mail there?
I don't know.
Hey, snot face.
So, and no one certainly made me feel bad or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I felt that it's fine. And I think if anyone is thinking about going and worrying about how they'll feel around lots and lots of naked people, there were so many different shapes and sizes and ages, and it wasn't all what I perceived to be an Instagram crowd. There were probably people there who were doing that.
Yeah. I think there were some very, very beautiful people there,
gosh, yeah.
without doubt, and some intimidatingly so.
I would agree.
So I think, you just need to be mindful that, we're not saying that those people aren't there, and there's probably a greater percentage of them than not, but there were a mix of different sizes and shapes.
There were definitely.
But with a leaning towards a hotter crowd, I'd say.
In terms of I'll say negatives. It's not even negatives, to be fair. I have put in my little list of my summary that yes, it was less naughtiness than we anticipated maybe, but I think that's because we got so built up in our head that it was going to be this, bacchanalian orgy.
Yeah.
Everyone just like at it constantly, and it was not. But for me, that wasn't a bad thing, because I still came away knowing I'd made some really good connections and I had a really great time. Yeah. So I'm not feeling like I've not got what I wanted out of a holiday.
I agree. And I wouldn't want to diminish the sexy times that we did have.
No,
but they were fantastic.
They were amazing.
and I'm sure I'll dish out more bedhopper points on those later. But I did think it was going to be a little bit more full on than what we experienced. But that's just the way things can go sometimes. What I will say is the thing that did one of the bad things for me was perhaps just the cost.
But cost is on my list.
The cost, and I think it's an expensive holiday.
It definitely is expensive, and if you're planning to have a frugal holiday, you may want to rethink your budgets because you will probably spend more than you think you're going to.
Yeah, and I think the difficulty is if you're looking at something like, I don't know, like a Desire or even like a 4-star hotel that's all inclusive, you forget how much on these types of adventures that you might drink or that you might want to snack and whatever. And actually those stack up. And, we put, I think, £400 on our... Initially on our card, and we probably spent...
double that.
Yeah, double that. Well, I mean, that includes our whole holiday as well. So not just our...
Agreed. But I think especially if you make friends and connections there and you start all hanging around as a little group together, you very quickly all start buying each other drinks. Yeah. And that's nice. That's lovely. And that's absolutely part of the fun. But also, before you know it, you're like, and another bottle, and another bottle, and another bottle.
Like
and it just
30 quid a bottle of Prosecco, which is about like restaurant price.
Yeah, but it very, very quickly eats away.
Yeah. 2 or 3 of those in a day, easily done.
Yeah.
And before you like add a couple of cocktails or something, and then you're like, oh, I need a bottle of water. Oh, I need some crisps. Before you know it, you've easily spammed through 150 quid in a day, no problem.
And I will say the cocktails were not good.
Cocktails were not great.
And I think had the cocktails been better, I may not have caned so many bottles.
Yeah.
Because the bottles I could trust because it was a bottle of Prosecco or a bottle of wine. And, you know what you're getting. Whereas the cocktails, I don't know, they couldn't make a margarita. I was like, oh. Well,
I think, and this is the thing, they did have a limited amount of cocktails on, but they weren't great. When we left the island and went for lunch, I had a Negroni.
And I had an amazing margarita.
And we were both it was like, oh my God, this is what we've been missing.
This is amazing.
And it's not wine, it's not
I was
Prosecco,
so done with wine by that point.
Yeah, we drank a lot of wine. And
because
to be
it
fair,
was the only thing I could rely on thinking, at least I know what I'm getting with this, and it's not a shit cocktail.
And the wine and the Prosecco were good.
Yeah,
they weren't bad. It was just, it stacks up and stuff. And that was one of the things, like paying for a decent cup of coffee. Sure, you can go to the machine coffee, but you if you want a nice one, which you probably do in the morning, and then you buy around for the 3 of you, whatever, it stacks up pretty quick.
What do you think of the food?
I thought the food was a bit mixed for me. The restaurant food that you pay for was really good. Very, very good.
But you have to pay extra.
But you have to pay extra for it.
And that's the restaurant.
That's the restaurant bit,
the little restaurant that's
now,
next to the Drift Bar.
That food was great.
It was amazing.
The breakfast stuff was continental, like you could have, weird sausage and bacons and stuff, fruits, and whatever fruits.
Cheeses. There was a lot of selection.
Then you could get an omelette made for you, as you found out, which helped.
Yeah, that would be my top tip. Go to that omelette guy.
Get an omelette, yeah. But and the evening meal was perfectly serviceable. It just, I think eventually the food started wearing me down because it was buffet hotel food.
Yeah, it was.
And I think it would be nice if there were like a couple of options there, but I appreciate it's a fucking island. It's not that big. And actually the fact that they managed to churn it all out and it's perfectly satisfactory and you can have some food. It wasn't bad. The pizzas, as well, the pizzas on the island that they make that you pay for were fucking great. They were so good. So much so that you ate them and
I shouldn't have.
Yeah, you shouldn't have foregone your gluten-free diet.
So one blip.
But that was the food was, if you're paying for it was great. If you weren't paying for it was
all right.
Was mixed, and I think that was a bit of a challenge as well. Yeah. I wasn't sure about the whole pool and daybed situation. It felt like a bit extra to have to pay so much for that.
Agreed.
I think it was nice having it, and I think we made the most of it.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I was like, €350 just to sit on a bed by the side. And I could see why everyone else like picked up a chair and just sat around by the pool. So that's a slight frustration. And I appreciate the same happens at places like Desire where you have to reserve your space and you give them a £5 or whatever and they mark it for you.
Much to pay that much for.
Does a bit. Any other things that you've noted down?
No, I think we've covered all of the stuff through our extensive run through.
I would say, I think it is an expensive holiday, but there isn't anything else quite like it out there in the world. You literally are on an island that is incredibly beautiful. The accommodation that we had was really good. The service was really good. The organisation was fucking next level. The entertainment was next level.
I felt safe.
I felt
very, very safe. And I actually quite liked the fact that we were remote because it felt like a proper adventure-y, oh my God, we're just literally all on this island. And
outside of the staff, there is no one wandering over to see you or interrupt. So I would say actually it's a really good adventure. Croatia itself is beautiful, and I would dearly love to go back, probably next week if I could, but I doubt it. I've got to work. But I would absolutely recommend it. I think have a think about the cost would be my only thing, and like how much. And if you're budgeting, say you're budgeting a few grand to go to the actual island, it's like to do the holiday bit. Then you've got to factor in your boat transfers and which ones you go for. You've also
extras.
You've also got to factor in your drinks and the cost of that, because you can't bring your own drinks. The costumes, that will all stack up. That said, as an experience, I don't think you can get that anywhere else. I think if it was busier, had it been the full 600 people there, I think we might have had a slightly different week.
Maybe.
But, that would have been a different crowd. That's another 150 odd people or what. I don't know the number difference. I think it was like 450 there. Yeah. But, if that was the case, like another 150, 200 people, that would have really made it a little bit more lively, I think. I do think you got a lot for your money. Yeah, I agree. Do think actually it is worth the money when you think about all the stuff that's included and the standard of accommodation. One thing we don't do is come in and sort your room out if you're gone. No. You're just. I think you can ask for that. You could, but I think there's probably a cost attached to that. Probably. Quite probably. But so you are pretty much like living in your own t-shirt cannon filth. But yeah. But I do think you get a lot for the money. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would say if you can go with a group or at least reach out to people in advance, that will probably help you. And there were people that were in our text group that we didn't even see, and whether they even turned up on the island or not, I have no idea. But the group that we did hang around with were fantastic, and that really made it for me, in that we were able to talk to them, we were able to hang around them, and we weren't codependent on each other, but it just meant that the ease in was just ever slightly better, and it was just, I felt more comfortable going in, knowing that I at least had a few friendly faces. So that would be my tip. I had a lot of laughs. Yeah, I really did have a lot of laughs, and I feel like I've made some new friends. Yeah, as well. So I want to say a huge thank you to Kate for ferrying us around and putting up with us, make us drink all the wine and all the water as well, and for generally sort of guiding us along on this adventure. She's been absolutely invaluable. So thank you, Kate. I also want to say thank you to our group that came along. It was great getting to know you, and hopefully we've made friends that will last a long time. Thank you to Spicy. Well, I'm getting there. I was getting to that bit. There was an Oscar speech going on here. Oh yeah, I'd like to thank God and my mum and dad and my dog. No, but genuinely a huge thank you to Spicy Match. Yeah, definitely. You folks did an incredible job, and just the logistics behind it. I mean, organising a social can be tricky, right? Organising a hotel takeover, much trickier, but organising a whole island takeover with all the logistics and all the stuff that goes with it, and entertaining people in the way that you've done. I salute the folks. You've done a fantastic job. So, but yeah, if you went to Spicy Island or have been, let us know. Get in touch with us. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions about Spicy Island, again, drop us a message. And if you have any questions about any of our forthcoming events, obviously, please shout as well. Watch my TikTok. Exactly. Watch the TikTok. It's going to be awesome. Probably. Maybe. I can't back that up. Probably Mrs. not. H, do your thing. Thank you for hopping into our bed. So I heard on the grapevine that you have a joke. No, I don't. Do you not have a joke? No, I told you. What? You said I thought you said you had a joke. I absolutely did not. And you said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll just shame you instead. I'll just berate you in front of everyone. My wife, what have you done this time? No.
I mean, I probably could find one, but that would be not authentic.
Not authentic.
No, and I'm not. No,
you're not being your authentic self by telling us a joke. It's like going back to that seminar and let's call out some Myers-Briggs. Well, let's get a good bit of Maslow, the hierarchy of needs.
Let's get some Maslow in there.
I think I've got a hierarchy of knees at the moment. My knees are getting a bit achy. I'm getting old, I think. Yeah.